What is one more signing that every Premier League club needs to make this summer? We're going to answer that question right now. I've come with facts, I've come with stats, and I've come with limited ball knowledge on the promoted teams because I'm a Prem head. We're going in alphabetical order. It's not just in order of my favourite teams in the Premier League. Don't worry. Arsenal have done some pretty damn good business so far this summer. I think what they really needed to do was add some depth. They needed to add depth and they also needed to raise their ceiling. I think they've kind of done both of those things. Zubamendi is obviously great. Gyökeres is good. He is good. The interesting one here, though, for me, is Mr. Noni Madueke, who... Is he the left winger that Arsenal needed? He definitely adds good depth on the right. And then you just got some good squad players below that. People going out as well. Some much needed departures. However, the one thing that Arsenal need more than anything, and I've been saying this for so long, is a left winger. I personally would have prioritised a left winger over a striker this summer. And I got slated for saying that earlier this year. And look, I'm sure Gyökeres improves Arsenal. But they have a chance creation problem, I think, on the left. If you watch their game against Spurs in pre-season, you could just overload Arsenal's right and just nullify Saka, and you will broadly nullify Arsenal. I speak from experience of this because the same thing used to happen to Palace with Zaha. If you have one good winger and not a good one on the other side, it's very easy to contain an attack. So who would I get if I was Arsenal? Obviously, Rodrigo was the one that was touted a lot earlier this summer. That's all gone a bit quiet. Apparently, he doesn't want to leave. They've been linked to Eze, and look... I love Iberi Eze, so obviously I'm going to say they shouldn't get him. But they shouldn't get him because they need an actual winger. I don't understand this obsession with like a 10-winger hybrid. He's not an out-and-out winger. They just need an out-and-out winger. And for me, right now, the best profile is Rafa Leao, partly because of that, successful take-ons, and progressive carries. I mean, when you think of like what Arsenal need on that side, they just need a threat. But I think Leao just takes that team to a whole new level. And look, if you're not sure about Leao and you don't know what he's like or what he's about, just look at the players he's similar to statistically. Marcus Rashford, Nico Williams, Luis Diaz, Lookman, Lookman just handed in a transfer request at Atalanta, but I think he's going to Inter. Vinny Jr., like, those are players who you must be familiar with watching. It's exactly what Arsenal need on the other side. In my opinion, it was the number one thing Arsenal should have tried to sort out this summer, and they've still not sorted it out. And if they go into this next season, having not bought an out-and-out left winger, unless they play Madueke there, I'm going to be frustrated. Just from a football perspective, I'm going to be frustrated because it's so blatantly obvious to me that that is more important, I think, than a striker. On to Villa, who have had a very quiet window so far. In fact, they have signed a grand total of Yasin Özkan from Kasim Pasa for €7 million. And that is it. They've obviously been hamstrung a bit by PSR. What do Villa need? What do I look at Villa and think they need? Well, they need a lot now because I think also the problem is the players who have left, Asensio and Rashford being the main two. They obviously both got a lot of minutes towards the end of last season and now they're going to need to replace them. But equally, they've only got one striker. Villa need attackers. And it's hard to say exactly who because I think a lot of it is going to be market opportunity and that's going to be the case with a lot of these teams. Villa right now are obviously just waiting to see what happens with some of the best teams in the league, like Chelsea, like Arsenal, like City, maybe United. Whoever they don't want will probably be passed on to that tier below. So I can see Villa getting someone in the Chelsea fire sale. I know Chukwuemeka's linked to Dortmund. They could do a lot worse than that, in my opinion. A lot worse than that. Bournemouth. A lot of this is just news to me. I mean, well, the big thing for them now is replacing the defenders because this obviously includes Huijsen going and Kerkez, but it doesn't include Zibani, who is also going to PSG by the sound of things, and Kepa. So they've actually lost 4 of their back 5 from last season, which is pretty brutal. They need to get replacing. Obviously, they've gone and got Troffert, who is meant to be really good, but they haven't signed a centre-back yet, which is low-key a little bit concerning. I think they should just stick to what they know. What they know is very much like a Brighton model, a Palace model, buy young, cheap, sell prime years high. A few days ago, they were linked to De Winter, so I guess you could say De Winter is coming. No, I don't know anything about him. But you know what? Sometimes it's just best to just trust recruitment teams. I have this lot with Palace when people are like, oh, why are we signing this guy from the Bundesliga? I don't know. I'm not paid to come up with suggestions. I'm actually not paid at all. So ignore me. You can just stop watching this video if you want. Don't do that. Don't do that. Moving on to Brentford. Again, it's best to start with the outgoings because they've only lost a few players, but God above, they've lost some important ones. Brian and Buemo's gone, although they did get good money for him. I think that's actually quite a good sale in the end. Christian Norgard's gone. They didn't get good money for him. Mark Flecken has gone. I seesaw between, is Mark Flecken really good or terrible? I feel like even Brentford fans flip-flop between that. Either way, he was their starting goalkeeper. They've also lost Ben Mee on a free. And it looks like Wissa's going. So they've got work to do. And look, to be fair to them, they have started Milambo. I don't even know they signed him. Fair enough. Attacking midfielder. They signed a right back. Kelleher from Liverpool was obviously a good signing. I think Henderson is a really decent signing, to be honest. I know that he's very unfashionable, and I appreciate that. But he's a good player. And I think he'll add some much-needed experience in the middle of the park. I don't think they're going to go down or anything. Also, one person who they signed last year that people will forget about is Igor Thiago, who basically didn't play last season because he got an ACL injury and then injured his knee again. But he's looked good in pre-season. It's a terrible cliche for clubs who aren't signing anyone, but he could be like a new signing. But he genuinely could be like a new signing. Look, how much do you go for it if you're Bournemouth, if you're Brentford? They've already spent, 45 mil? Again, though, they're kind of one of those teams where I'm just like, you know what, you trust them to just sort it out. But if they're to prioritise one position, I would say probably a right winger. I know they signed that guy from Birmingham, but he's not going to come in and start straight away, unless I'm mistaken. Brighton and Hove Albion. I mean, first of all, look how many people they've signed. 80 million euros they spent again this summer. Brighton's recruitment does it again. They're so savvy with their money. 80 million. They spent 250 million pounds last summer, by the way. I will never, ever, ever let that go. But they've taken some risks. Kostopoulos for 30 mil, an 18-year-old striker. De Kuyper is meant to be good. Estupiñán replacement. Tom Watson, Coppola. A lot of end of loans, to be fair, although Evan Ferguson has gone straight back out to Roma. Again, the big one for them, though, is they've lost João Pedro, who they kind of have replaced in Costulas, but he's not... Costulas, sorry. But he's not... I don't know, he's not a like-for-like replacement. He's definitely not going to come in and do exactly what João Pedro was doing. Adingra... I mean, there's a lot of, fallacies about Adingra. Adingra is not that good. He is decent, but, mate, I'm taking, 20 mil for him from Sunderland for a player who's barely playing for Brighton. That's pretty good value, I think. Estupiñán they've already replaced. They don't really need to replace anyone else. But, again, I don't think they'll actually buy many more players because they've already got so many attackers and a lot of midfielders as well. They might go and spend money to get someone to kind of replace João Pedro, but... I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton are quite quiet for the rest of the window. They've got a lot of their business done early. I don't think they need to go and spend big money in the window, so I don't think they will, probably. Burnley. Well, Burnley today have... let's just quickly double-check this, just to show that I'm coming with facts here. Burnley today have only gone and signed bloody Leslie Ugachukwu from Chelsea. Hang on, let me just move this into there. That's an unbelievable signing. I thought he was decent. I don't know how much it's for. That adds some much needed experience. As they always say, that's just like an absolute buzz phrase of the transfer window, much needed experience, because they need it. Let's be completely honest here. It's not a great team. They brought in some guy from Lazio, Marcus Edwards. I think he was a bit overrated, but that ultimately they got him when they were there in the championship. That's a pretty good championship signing. Brun Larson from Stuttgart. I think he's meant to be decent. I like Tuan Zabi, Kyle Walker, obviously, another one. But they have lost James Trafford, which is a loss, certainly, for a team that was so good defensively last season. I mean, if you're Burnley, if you're Burnley or any of the other promoted teams, how much do you even attack this window? If you think about how the teams last season did it, I know Ipswich bought quite a lot of players, but they mainly just planned for coming straight back down. So do you just do the same thing? Do they just go and get good players from the Championship now and just hope that it's enough for them long term? They can flip them. They kind of have gone for some win now players, I suppose. But I mean, if you're Burnley, that's pretty bleak. Although Ogachukwu is a really good signing, although he did play for Southampton last year, who were terrible, but he wasn't terrible for them. So I'll let that go. Chelsea, Christ, look at the incomings, mate. It's actually, I say it's not that many. It's still 250 million, but by Chelsea standards, it genuinely isn't that many. João Pedro, who I'm not sold on it long term as a transfer, but I appreciate he had a good Club World Cup and he's probably already repaid a lot of that fee. Jamie Gittins is fun. I like Jamie Gittins as a move for them and for him, actually. Hato, I've not watched much of him, but he's going to be really good. People have been raving about that. A nice little, like, he's kind of like Levi Colwill, I think. As in, like, can play centre-back, can play left-back, but maybe more left-back leaning. Leon Delap, good market opportunity. Esteval will be exciting this year. One player who I just don't get why Chelsea haven't gone after already, and it does pain me to say this, is Mark Gahey. I mean, first of all, Matt Doherty, similar players to Mark Gahey. I mean, that's just not true. Trevor Chalobah plays for Chelsea too. But he's homegrown, which always helps, especially Chelsea, who I think do lack homegrown players, or have done over the past few years. He's come from Chelsea's academy, so the sell-on clause that they would receive means they could get a cheaper fee for him. He is 24, so he broadly fits their age profile, and he's got experience. It's very difficult for Chelsea to find players who are win now and also fit their age profile. That's why I really like Xavi Simons to Chelsea, because it is in that mould. Like, he's really young and he fits in with this project. I mean, it is a project. I shouldn't go like that. But he makes them better now. There are very few players. And also it fills a hole. Fills a hole. Where's that? I just don't understand why this isn't being touted more. And look, I love Mark Gahey, but he's going to leave Palace at some point. He allegedly wants to go to Liverpool, or, well, I think he's rejecting Newcastle, but I find it difficult to believe he would turn down and move to Chelsea, especially because he needs regular first-team football ahead of the World Cup next year. I mean, I don't want to like whore out our own players, but I think Mark Gahey to Chelsea makes a lot of sense. On to my team, Eagles. That's West Ham. I mean, pretty quiet. The only players we've actually signed are Borna Sosa and Walter Benitez. Look, we've needed both of those, to be fair. We needed a left wing back to cover Mitchell, and also who just took a bit more attacking than Mitchell. And we needed a backup goalkeeper. And Benitez played for PSV last year in the Champions League, and he's coming on a free. So I'll take that. A lot of it, though, will depend on the outgoings, because no one's really left Palace yet either. Does that represent a good window if no one leaves? Maybe. But I think someone will leave. I would be pretty amazed if neither Gahey nor Eze leave this summer. And it's just a case of who we bring in to replace either of them. Now, we've got two pretty clear main targets for each one. For Eze, it's Evan Guesson from Nice, who is basically... He's kind of like Eze in the way he plays. He likes to run with the ball. He can play either side of the striker. He played as like a right 10, I think, last season. He can play right or left. He's available from Nice for like 20 mil, I think. And we've kind of piddled in some bids. One of them was 2 million up front. So finance are looking pretty bleak right now. But I imagine we'll pull the trigger on that. If Eze goes, because we'll have to act quite quickly. Obviously, he's got this release clause, which expires in 2 weeks' time. And then the other one that we're looking at, who would replace Gahey, is Diamande, who is actually, I mean, in terms of like relative quality-wise, is a lot better than Guessand is. Guessand. He's one of the most highly rated young centre-backs in Europe, actually. We're being quoted about 40 million for him, which would make him our record signing. But he's like a proper good ball-playing centre-back. And he's young, and I think there's resale value there. It just all depends on whether we sell someone, which I think we will, but we haven't yet. So it's kind of, there'll be a domino effect, I think, at Palace if and when that happens. I don't think we really need to sign anyone else in the meantime. I know Palace fans won't like me saying that. We probably need a right wing back, but I'm not like worrying about it. Everton today have been very active. They are apparently going after Dewsbury Hall, which would be a really good signing, because I was going to say they needed a centre mid. I know Harrison Armstrong, by the way. Watch out for Harrison Armstrong this year, back on loan from Derby. He is good. Dewsbury Hall and then Tyler Dibbling on the right. And all of a sudden, you got a front three of Barry, Dibbling and Njai under David Moyes. Box office. So I would say what Everton needs is to go and buy those two players, because that massively elevates them. I think they could be dark horses next year, Everton. I really, really do. Moyes always has good years, whether it's in a European competition or in the league. He delivers and delivered consistently for West Ham, and he was good at Everton at the back end of last season. Everton, watch out for them next year. I like what they're cooking over there. They've also not really lost anyone of note. I know Decore, maybe Calvert-Lewin actually, but Barry's definitely an upgrade. Also, Charlie Alcaraz. I like Charlie Alcaraz. Good movement from Everton. I feel there's something cooking over there at the Dick Wadson Stadium. Something like that. Fulham. It's looking pretty bleak out there for you guys. No one of note in. Wingers are out. I'd definitely prioritise a winger because if they got out wide then, Adama Traore, who might be going to Forest, Iwobi, Wilson, you need more there. Get a winger, guys. Stop pissing around. Leeds United. Now, I've been told by Jack Durson on the Zach Jalab shoot, but I was on last week, that they're signing a bunch of giants, which I like. They're getting Nmecha, aren't they? Oh, they've got Nmecha, and they're signing someone else good, who I can't remember their name. But this is decent. Again, I think they'll stay up this year. Again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know loads about Leeds. I don't know loads about Leeds. But I think the way they're spending, they're going after, like, if you look where these players are coming from, they're coming from some pretty big European teams who will have good experience. And they've got, I mean, I also think they'll be afraid to sack their manager quickly. So Leeds, I'd say maybe buy like one more Prem proven. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of defenders there, which I like, but maybe go and get a nice attacker. Liverpool, mate. I hope I've got Mark Gahey still on the on that other tab, because they might as well just go and get him. I mean, look, are Liverpool cooking up something crazy? Yes. If they go and get Alexander Isak, will they have one of the best attacks that the Prem has ever seen? Yes. Do they need him? I am not convinced they do need him, to be honest. I mean, obviously, when you get the opportunity to sign the best striker in the world, or one of the best strikers in the world, it's difficult to turn it down. But I just worry about their depth in defence, because they already had not great depth, and they got rid of Quansah, who they haven't replaced yet, and they got rid of Trent. Now, I know they've got the right-back options are fine. Frimpong is good. Bradley's good. Left-back options are fine. Kirkes is a really good upgrade on Robertson. They've obviously still got Robertson. Going forward, they've got Ekatike, they've got Vert, they've got Salah, damn. But they are weirdly still lacking depth. They are. Like, if I was them, I would go and get another number 6. I don't know if it will come up that he's come back. Bajcetic. Yes. I think he's meant to be pretty good. And I know he's good when he broke through. Maybe he's a backup. They got, and then Endo, Bajcetic and Gravenberg's probably fine as a 6, but it's just the centre-backs options. And especially if Konate is going to leave next summer and Liverpool allegedly still have loads of PSR room, just go and get Mark Gahey. I don't want you to go and get Mark Gahey, but just do it. I don't understand why more teams aren't pulling the trigger on Gahey this summer. There, I said it. And Liverpool's perfect for him. I think he wants to go to Liverpool too. They allegedly can go and sign Isak and another centre-back. They have to get another centre-back. For me, a centre-back is a higher priority signing for Liverpool than a striker, even if that striker is Isak. They still need also another attacker. Like, even if they were to not get Isak, they'd still need to go and get someone else. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not sold fully yet. I think if they go and get Gahey, they've got, like, I mean, it's all relative, right? I'm not sold, but if they went and got Gahey, they'd have the best team in the league by a distance, if they don't already. Their squad would be basically perfect. Man City. This is an interesting one. What do Man City need? A right back is the first thing that comes to mind. Why is Mateus Nunes going to be playing right back for them next year? Anyway, they've signed well. Reinders is good. I mean, it's pretty mental, by the way, that they can go and just loan out. I don't think it's been confirmed yet. They can go and loan out Nico Gonzalez when they spent 50 million on him in January. Just no one's talking about it. Reinders is obviously really good. Noura is a great signing at left back. I really like that. Very ball dominant. Like, this is very, like, those three at the top, Reinders, Noura and Cherki. That's like, oh yeah. James Trafford, is he going to be number 1? I'm quite interested to see if that happens. But what else do they need? They signed so many players in January. I think they obviously signed Kushner, they signed Marmoush, and they signed Gonzalez. And they signed Vita Rice, is it, as well? I don't think they need much more. I would get a right back, even though Nunes has been good there. I think just, like, I mean, they're Man City. They have so much money. I would just go and do that. And then again, there's basically no holes in that squad. And a lot of it will depend on how, especially Ryan Cherki and Foden perform this year, but there's not many holes. I'd go and get a right back. Who's a good right back that they could go and get right now? Livramento. I mean, I don't know what it would cost to get him out of Newcastle, considering how terrible their window has been so far, but Livramento is perfect, right? He can do everything. I think Livramento is quality, and will probably start for England at the World Cup next summer. There, I said it. I bloody said it. Manchester United. Now, this is an interesting one because they have had a decent window. Am I totally sold on Mbeumo and Cunha? Cunha, yeah, I think Cunha's a good signing. And Mbeumo, I'm not sure it's worth 65 million quid. I'm just not. I would have originally said they need a right wing back, but I think Amad Diallo is going to play there, which I still just don't really understand. But that is apparently how Amorim sets his teams up. What they badly need is a CDM. someone to play midfield because all of their midfielders are so immobile. No, and I'm not talking about Chiro. Now, obviously, the dream for them is Carlos Baleba, but they're not going to be able to afford Carlos Baleba because he costs like 100 mil and they don't have any Champions League football this year. And I know that, Man United, they can afford what they want. They can't really. Honestly, Amadou Onana, I don't mind that as an option. I think it'll cost decent money, but equally, Villa need cash. And I'm not talking about Matty. They do need Matty Cash as well. Actually, do they need Matty Cash? They probably don't. But they just need someone who's got long old legs in midfield who can cover a lot of ground, and that is what he can do. I imagine has he played in that system before? Possibly. Another one who I looked at before was Hulman, who plays for Sporting. I think he has a release clause, though, is the only thing. But again, he's someone who I'd look at who just like knows how to play in a 3-back system and at least suits it. Again, like, I know there's striker talk. I personally think them getting a striker would be a waste of time if they didn't go and get a number 6 because they'll just get cut through every single game. Like, that was their biggest problem last year and they have not solved it at all. So, hot take, if you have a massive problem in your team, I would recommend solving that before doing anything else. There you go, United. Have that one for free. Okay, damn. The thing is, Newcastle's window on paper doesn't even look that bad, but it's just terrible. I think it's the PR. It's not what has happened, it's what hasn't happened. And they haven't signed Gahey, they haven't signed Trafford, they haven't signed Mbuemo, they haven't signed Delap, they haven't signed Pedro. Obviously, Isak might be leaving. Anthony Gordon's coming out but saying about how miserable he was he didn't get to leave last summer. That is not great. They need a striker, first of all. Even if Isak doesn't go, I think Sesko would be an unbelievable signing for Newcastle if Isak went. Because I think that then shows the calibre of player they are capable of getting, even if they don't have Isak. Does that make sense? Like, I think Newcastle badly need to save face this window because their face has been well and truly... I don't know what that means. But Sesko would be a really, really good start. I don't think Isak is worth 140 million to Newcastle. I think they should just sell him. And then you can go, with that money, go and buy a striker. Go and get Wisser if you want another versatile forward. Go and get a midfielder, go and get centre-back. I think you as a team will be much better off than just keeping Isak. Nottingham Forest. They've actually done decent in this window, considering their uncertainty surrounding Europe. They just need depth. They're quite similar to Palace, actually, in that they need a bigger squad because their squad is thin. They've also lost, even like Danilo, like that's someone who played significant minutes for them last year. They need a little bit more, and these guys, the Botafogo guys, are slightly unproven. Sunderland. Now, Sunderland are cooking up something crazy. Diarra, good signing. Adingra, I did say earlier Adingra is not that good, but there's a difference between Brighton good and Sunderland good. And ultimately, if Sunderland just going to sit back and absorb pressure, which they probably should, Adingra is a good player to have. Lefay, Xhaka, they've found a whole new midfield, and that's a good midfield. Like, that is genuinely a really solid midfield. They've spent a decent amount, but they obviously got money for Bellingham, which was helpful. I think one thing that's just a problem for them is at the back, they need another centre-back. I'm pretty sure it's Dan Ballard, isn't it? 09, who you don't want them playing significant Prem minutes. They need like a big leader at the back. Again, it could just be a case of looking at the dregs of teams above them and waiting for a market opportunity because there will be centre-backs available. I think there's a little bit of a merry-go-round going at the moment. Loans as well. Go and get a Chelsea loan. Disassi. Don't get Disassi. Disassi would improve them. But I think Prem experience will be big because I know Xhaka has got obviously bags of Prem experience and Adingra has a bit, but otherwise this is like a bit of a mishmash of players. I think they need like a core at the back in particular. Spurs, Tottenham Hotspurs. Well, this is good, first of all. I think Kudus is a really fun signing. Tell for 35 mil, pretty good. Really, Danso and Vuskovic. I thought Danso, maybe it was a loan with an obligation. That gives them some much needed depth at centre-back. I think João Palhinha, very underrated signing as well. I know that he's not exactly like an elaborate 6 that Spurs are after, but he's still pretty good. But the Maddison injury does maybe change things for them. I think they're going to need to act in the window. Eze is obviously the dream for them. I just can't really see that happening. But the next best thing to Eze, this also might not happen. But I think they should try and go for it. 'Cause I think he would do it. I do think he would do it. I don't think he is wedded to a move to Chelsea. Xavi Simons. And look, I was bigging up Xavi Simons early this window. I didn't understand why more people went in for him. I think they have Champions League football this year. Simons, yes, Chelsea is a better move right now than Spurs. Yeah, it is. But I think if you offer Simons the keys, you have a chance of getting him. They haven't confirmed that yet, that move. That would be my dream move. Someone of that ilk. I just don't think Eze is going to happen, unfortunately, for them. That's who I'd go for. Xavi Simons. I like Simons a lot. I think he's really good, and I've been begging someone to sign him all summer. And it will happen. It just depends who. West Ham, oh my God. I mean, West Ham's on paper isn't bad. I mean, it's not great, actually. In fact, it is quite bad. Tadibo obviously signed last year. Diouf is really good. FPL players, listen up. Get El Hadj Malik Diouf in your FPL team. He's class. He's very attacking. Callum Wilson on $6,000 a week. So West Ham. It is the most fitting Premier League signing ever, I think. Carl Walker-Peters, again, potentially even more West Ham than Callum Wilson. But they have lost a lot of players, and it's just looking bleak. Like their team they played last night, was it against Bournemouth or whoever they played in the summer series? I was just like, oh God, like it's pretty bleak. It sounds like they're getting Victor John as I think an Areola, not even competitor. I think someone to replace him, and Josh Brownhill potentially from Burnley. And then it's just like, I just don't really understand how West Ham have ended up in this position, but they spent a lot last summer, didn't they? They really battled Lopetegui, and that's just kind of backfired massively. Shame. And finally, Wolves, who have not done much at all, really. Like Strand Larsen, I mean, a lot, and this is not personal to these teams. Most mid-table teams, Palace are included in that, or non-Big Six teams, haven't done much because I think they're waiting for the raft of business above them to finish and then seeing what's left over. And look, that's probably wise because there's probably going to be some clubs up there who want to recoup some money. There's offers to be had there. There's some deals to be had there. Wolves, I think, will act late again. Strand Larsen, as I said, was an obligation to buy. Fer Lopez, meant to be decent. Or Arias was obviously good at the Club World Cup. Not that I watched a single minute of it. But they have lost some big players. Like, obviously, Cunha and Ait Nouri is one thing. Sarabia, I think, was a touch overrated at Wolves. But Semedo was really good for Wolves last year. Like, he was one of their best players, I'm pretty sure. They need depth, probably. But ultimately, they just sit in the category now of like, well, they're not going to get Europe this year. So do they just sit on this? And if they need to spend big in January, they will. I think it's very possible they do that. They've got a really good manager. I think we could have some late business in around deadline day or just January transfer signings. Big old waffle session done. Do let me know what you think of your team's business down below. And if I missed anyone your team should get, because ultimately I'm a Palace fan. I know what Palace need. I don't know what your club needs. So tell me what you need down below. I'm genuinely interested to have a discussion about it. Like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Reshare with your friends. Hope you enjoyed. More content pending soon. Let me know what you want to see on this channel as well, by the way, because I am interested. I'm interested to hear some feedback on both the video then and what you want moving forward. Bye. I need to work on the outro.